Hey, this is Brett the Hitman Hart, and you're listening to the Smacked Raw podcast.
Good morning and welcome everyone to the Smack Raw podcast. I am your host, SCS Vince, and today we're going to be covering last night's Monday Night Raw. Before we do that, I'd like to get a couple quick plugs out of the way. I want to make sure you guys go ahead and follow and subscribe to the show wherever you consume all your podcasts. If you're listening to this on YouTube, go ahead and give a subscribe, a thumbs up, and a comment down below. And turn on the bell notification so you know when a brand new video drops. Download this and all Smack Raw podcast episodes on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play, all that good content. Make sure you download it. Make sure you're not missing out on all that Smack Raw podcast goodness. Go ahead and follow us on social media at Smack Raw Pod. You can follow me at SES Vince on all social media platforms. We'd like to interact and engage with all our fans. Use the hashtag SmackRaw. Just to go ahead and tweet at us and get a question going for the show. It is just me today, as you can see, under the weather, given the circumstances that's going on in the world. There are a lot of other more stuff that we need to prioritize, but nonetheless, Smack Raw Podcast is here to bring you a little bit of content of what happened last night. So let's start things off relatively quickly with Raw in a show. Overall, the show I thought had a couple good story beats. There were a couple matches or a couple segments within the show that didn't really make much sense. A big bulk of the show was the Gauntlet match, the story of Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins leading into Money in the Bank. Obviously, the Money in the Bank participants, that whole thing, this was the go-home show before Money in the Bank this Sunday. And also, keep an eye out for our Money in the Bank predictions episode that should be dropping, I want to say Tuesday or Wednesday afternoon. So go ahead and check that out. That should be on our YouTube platform at youtube.com/SmackRawPod. And yeah, so with that said, overall, Ron in the nutshell, I enjoyed the show overall. I thought it was good. There were a couple stuff that, again, nothing too crazy, but I would say a solid B-B show before a big pay-per-view, a very unique pay-per-view to say the least. So Raw opened up with the VIP Lounge, MVP hosting it, but this time this is similar to what they did last week. Last week they opened up Monday Night Raw with the VIP Lounge with the Raw Men's Money in the Bank participants, which were at the time Aleister Black, Rey Mysterio, and Apollo Crews. This time they do the same thing, but they have the women competitors show up. They have Asuka, and she's being greeted by MVP, and he greets her in Japanese, which I thought was very charming. I thought that was really cool. I think, if I'm not mistaken, MVP might have been the very first IWGP Intercontinental Champion over there in New Japan Pro Wrestling. So, little tidbit of knowledge right there, guys. So, they probably know each other for a little bit. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was Nia next that comes down and she knocks over the rope. Shayna Baszler comes out. She's the last one. And once MVP has all three women in the VIP lounge, he basically goes one by one asking them why they think they'll be able to win the match or why they feel like they might be best suited in that environment. And again, for those of you guys that may not be aware, the Money in the Bank match this year is very unique. It's going to be both the men and the women competing at the same exact time. They will be starting on the main lobby of WWE's headquarters, and they have to work their way up to the roof. And when they get to the roof, there will be a ring with the briefcases for both the men and the women's Money in the Bank matches hanging up above the ring. They have to still get a ladder, climb that ladder, retrieve the briefcase, similar to Money in the Bank match. This looks like it's going to have a very cinematic feel, which I'm looking forward to as well. So going back into it, Shayna and Asuka are the main two that start to get into it. They start throwing jabs at each other, and right as they get close to each other face to face. That's when they just turn to their right/left, go ahead and kick Nia Jax off of the goddamn ring. She spills to the outside. They stand tall. MVP tries to get in the middle of them to separate them to prevent the brawl, and that was basically the segment. Nothing too much nitty gritty stuff. It was just more or less just some solid content to take away like a good 10 minutes of the show. Unfortunately, USA Network, where they showcase Raw, where they televise it, basically gave away the results of the women's Money in the Bank participant matches because they said that next week Becky Lynch will be returning to Monday Night Raw to confront the winner of the women's Money in the Bank match, which can only mean one thing. So the Money in the Bank briefcase match has Dana Brooke, Carmella, and Lacey Evans over on the SmackDown side. And on the Raw side were the three women that I mentioned, Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, and Asuka. So my initial thought is that either Nia Jax, Asuka, or Shayna Baszler will be the ones to walk away with the briefcase this Sunday. And looks like might be teasing a feud or something down the line with Becky Lynch. So we'll see what happens on Sunday. Go ahead and tune in for that. We will be having Money in the Bank recap episode Sunday night, so stay tuned for that. I won't be part of it, but my fellow co-host Kyle should be more than capable of running that for you guys. He's just as good, if not better. So moving on to the first match of the show, we get a recap of the Apollo Crews injury that took place last week in his match with Andrade for the U.S. title, which is what led to this gauntlet match, to be honest. So I'm getting the feeling like they are going to do something with Apollo Crews. Yes, he was taken out of the Money in the Bank match, and he is going to be replaced, but I feel like there's still a push coming for Apollo Crews. It's just going to take a minute. They might go in a different direction, maybe a heel turn of sorts. We'll see what happens with that. But the missing spot had to be filled by somebody, and we started things off with a gauntlet match. Bobby Lashley started things off against Titus O'Neil, and honestly, this is a quick elimination. He eliminates Titus O'Neil very quickly with a spear, and from there, out comes Akira Tozawa next. Again, another quick assault by Bobby Lashley, and hits another quick spear to eliminate him. And then at this point, Shelton Benjamin is the fourth competitor to enter the gauntlet match, and he's the first one to give Bobby Lashley a little bit more of a fight. He tries to get in the ring, and that's when Bobby Lashley jumps him, tries to, again, get the quick upper hand, try to keep things going fast-paced. The fight spills over to the outside, but what's really cool is once they get back inside the ring, because Bobby Lashley goes for a spear, Shelton Benjamin hits him with like a V-trigger type knee. He goes for his what is it called? I'm drawing a blank on what it's called, but I think it's like an insecurity kick or something, like a spin kick. And he goes for it. Bobby Lashley reverses it and hits him with a spear once he gets a little bit of momentum. So he reversed the first one, but he does get hit with a second spear after a series of reversals. That was really, really good. One thing that came to mind watching this was, why isn't Shelton Benjamin used better? I feel like he should still be an upper mid-card guy, someone that should be fighting for that U.S. title, that IC title, maybe be in a high-profile tag team. Since he's come back to WWE, he hasn't really done anything in terms of championships or success in big matches. He's had some cool moments with Chad Gable. He's had some cool moments with Brock Lesnar in this past year's Royal Rumble match. But nothing to really stand out. He's just basically been a guy that WWE just, we need a good hand. We need someone that can put on the match. We need a body, and they go ahead and use him. It's a shame for Sheldon. I kind of want to see what they do with him. If Apollo Crews does go ahead and turn heel, and he is managed by an MVP, perhaps you can add a Shelton Benjamin, because there was a little interaction between the two of them in this past week's WWE main event, which is basically like their pre-show, like their filler show that they showcased during the weekend. And MVP was on commentary during one of Shelton Benjamin's matches. And it was Tom Phillips, I believe that was with MVP. It was alluding to the fact that Shelton Benjamin and MVP go way back. They're friends, they're associates, and they know each other. So that's something that maybe, maybe I'm just being optimistic. Maybe something happens with Shelton Benjamin there. So he does get eliminated next. After this, we do have Humberto Carrillo. He is the sixth competitor at this point, if I'm not mistaken. See, Lashley, O'Neal, Tozawa, Benjamin, Humberto. Fifth competitor in the match. Okay, so he comes out, and at this point, this is where Bobby Lashley, he's already beaten three guys. He's got his, he's feeling himself, basically, is what Bobby Lashley is doing. He's toying with Humberto Carrillo, tossing him around, being extra aggressive, beating him up in the corner. But that goes to his disadvantage because he becomes a little too aggressive and doesn't listen to the referee, at which point the referee does go ahead and disqualify, which I thought it was a little bogus way to disqualify him. It didn't really seem like he was doing anything too crazy. A lot of the times, a wrestler does have another one pinned in the corner and just starts beating them up. The ref usually gives a 5 count, pushes them to the side, tells them to listen to them, to not do that again. Basically lets them off with a warning. Bobby Lashley didn't really get that this time. But he was incensed by the whole thing, and he decided, I'm just going to take it out on poor Humberto, and I'm just going to kick the crap out of him. He proceeds to beat the crap out of him, and just hits his finish, and walks away. Next up, number 6, Angel Garza comes out with his manager, Selena Vega. After the commercial break, because that's where they go. Angel Garza comes in, they go to commercial. After the commercial break, this is the first real match within the gauntlet match. Garza and Humberto, they're cousins, so they have the chemistry there, and this is the one time in the match, the first time in the match, I should say, where they let them wrestle. They sat there in the ring for a good minute. The finish to this matchup was Angel Garza going for the wing clipper, but it's reversed into a roll-up by Humberto Carrillo, which eliminates Garza. He's annoyed. He is shocked. He's in awe. Selena Vega can't believe it, but that's not the last of Selena's boys that come out. Austin Theory comes out next, and he's going to come in and try to pick up the pieces and capitalize where Garza failed. Again, another solid fight. Theory does give him some fight. You see Humberto start to struggle a bit. The attack by Bobby Lashley is now starting to take a little bit more of a toll on him. But I thought the finish to this matchup was really cool because Austin Theory goes to try to hit a superplex on Humberto from the top, which he does, successfully connects with it. But as they go down, Humberto lifts up his legs and arms and does like an inside cradle on Austin Theory, following the superplex, and eliminates him that way. Another roll-up pin win. And at this point, you're thinking, well, whoever is going to eliminate Humberto Carrillo, if there's anyone that can eliminate him, it's got to be someone big. It's got to be a big heel. I was thinking it's going to be Andrade next to come out because you have Garza, you have Theory. The last one of Selena's boys is Andrade, so it made perfect sense for Andrade to be the next guy to come out. But no, we had the returning AJ Styles back from the dead, back from his Boneyard match. He is back. He is in no mood. He is basically just grouchy old man AJ Styles, and I thought it was really, really good. At this point, I'll be honest with you guys, I was starting to lose a little bit more interest in this match just because I've seen so many people come in and out. And once AJ came out, it was written in the stars. He was going to win. The minute I heard that he was supposed to be returning to Monday Night Raw last night, I had a feeling that he was going to be in this gauntlet match and he was probably going to win. AJ Styles is one of the bigger names on Monday Night Raw, if not of all WWE. He's like top 5, top 10 biggest names they've got. And Vince McMahon likes the guy, and he treats him well, and they try to book him good. And one way that they could do with that is including him in Money in the Bank and maybe even win the whole damn thing. So, again, AJ Styles a little bit more aggressive since his return from being buried alive by The Undertaker, and goes ahead and get the win with the calf crusher to qualify, and he's the final participant in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. After the match, he had a post-match attack on Umberto, targets the knee again, the injured knee, and hits it against the ring post to the outside. Very vicious. Commentary tries to sell the fact that this is a different AJ Styles. He's completely changed from his interaction with The Undertaker. And he grabs the mic and starts to cut a promo afterwards. He says that there's no Undertaker anymore to steal his spotlight, and that he was going to do whatever it would take to win the match, even if that would mean tossing Rey Mysterio or Aleister Black off the roof of WWE's headquarters. So I don't know if they'd actually do that, but that would be kind of cool, since they are going to do more of a boneyard match type of like cinematic feel to this match. I would like to see actually them follow through with that, like AJ Styles tossing an Aleister Black off of the roof safely. Of course, they could always just do like a stunt double, have like an airbag on the outside, make it seem like he's actually getting tossed, and then just cut away to him on the floor, like basically almost dead. That would be kind of cool. I don't know if it's realistic. It's a cinematic match. It's going to be different. It's not going to be your standard two guys in the ring going toe to toe. It's going to be part movie, part like classic ladder match. It's going to have a mixed bag of things. So we'll see what the match has in store. I'm actually really looking forward to the match itself because it's so different and so unique. We've never seen it before. So we'll see what happens. Next up, we have Seth Rollins' interview with Charlie Caruso in the middle of the ring. And I love how Seth Rollins is transitioning and the role and his motivation behind him wanting to take the title off of Drew. So basically, he says that it's his destiny to lead Raw, and it's not Drew's. He will do whatever it takes to fulfill his destiny. He isn't trying to hurt or crush Drew McIntyre's dreams. He's just trying to unburden Drew of this responsibility, meaning that he's saying that he's champion and the fans will eventually turn on him, and he doesn't want that to happen to Drew like it happened to Seth himself this time last year. He's like, I've been there, I've done that. This is nothing against Drew. This is just my destiny. This is something that I have to do. This is my responsibility, my burden to bear. Basically, it's very self-centered. Very he's not very aware of how much of an egotistical jerk he's coming off of. But I love it. This is the best Seth Rollins has been since the Authority Seth Rollins. I'm all for it, man. I think it's good. Give me more of this Messiah Monday Night Raw Seth Rollins. I doubt he wins, but interesting stories are interesting stories, and that's all you can ask for in wrestling. And this next matchup is definitely interesting as well. We had TM62, as I like to call them. Thank you to Matt from the Smacking Around podcast. No relation. He's the one that dubbed them, Brendan Vick and Shane Thorne. Going off of the fact that Shane Thorne was in a tag team with Nick Miller, and they were called TM61, so this is the next version of it, so it's TM62, It is what it is. And they were facing off against Two Fly Crew, the team of Cedric Alexander and Ricochet. Very explosive match between the two teams. I'm starting to really get the sense that Two Fly Crew is probably the best in-ring tag team that Monday Night Raw has. Street Profits are pretty over. They're pretty popular. They're charismatic. Viking Raiders are good in the ring as well, but their characters just don't really do it for me. Overall, I feel like if Two Fly Crew actually go ahead and get some good meaty storyline with them, they could be the best tag team on Monday Night Raw, period, regardless of in or outside the ring. The one thing that really just threw me off was the results. This wasn't too long of a match. I want to say it was like 5-7 minutes, uh, if that. It might have just been like a good solid 7 minutes. But it was Brendan Vick that went ahead and got the win over Ricochet. He hit him with a big boot after like a bunch of like chaotic stuff was happening back and forth. So where does this leave Two Flight Crew is my question, guys. Do they turn heel? Is that their answer to everything? Just like, we're going to give you a crisis of confidence thing and turn you heel because you can't accomplish things as a babyface. I get it that you're doing it with Apollo Crews, but it might be redundant if you're doing this with Two Flight Crew as well. Why make them a tag team if they're just going to have some 50-50 booking? They lost their first match, I believe. They won their first match, lost their second match against Viking Raiders, then won their next match against some jobber team, and then now I think it was Brandon Vick and Shane Thorne again. That's who they beat last week, and then now they're the ones that got the win. Commentator was making it like a point of saying that it was the fact that MVP is now managing TM62 as to why they are more successful this week as opposed to the weeks prior. And they got their first win on Monday Night Raw. I'd like to see this be more of a swerve, and it's more of MVP saying like, "Look, see what I did with those two white boys over there. See what I did with those scrubs, those nobodies. I was managing them for 1 week, and they got their first win on Monday Night Raw. Imagine what I can do with Two Flight Crew. Imagine what I could do with Ricochet and Cedric Alexander if you let me manage you." And then we go from there. Pair them up with Sheldon Benjamin, and Apollo Crews, some other heel wrestler on Monday Night Raw. I don't know. Give MVP a faction, man. I'm all about factions. The one thing I like about New Japan Pro Wrestling is this is basically gang warfare over there. You have Chaos, you have LIJ, you have Bullet Club, you have Suzuki Gun. You have all these factions over there, and I'm all about factions. Give me more factions, all the factions. So yeah, moving on. We have another tag team match. Street Profits, the current Raw Tag Team Champions, taking on the Viking Raiders. They cut a promo before the match, basically saying that ever since that the Performance Center, which is where WWE is, it's currently taping all their WWE shows. This is where the Street Profits were born. This is where Dawkins and Ford first met. They became brothers. They broke bread. They hustled, and that's where they were born. This is their home. But they were saying that ever since the Viking Raiders showed up to the Performance Center, it's always been the Street Profits chasing them to try to get to their level, to get to, like Charlotte was saying last week on NXT, there's levels to this shit. And it feels like Street Profits aren't on the Viking Raiders level. Going into the match, another phenomenal match between the Street Profits and Viking Raiders. These guys definitely have some solid tag team chemistry. You put them in the ring together, they're gonna put on a dope-ass match. This probably should have been the pay-per-view match because it was a really, really good match. However, I want to go ahead and say, and this is probably just gonna be a setup. So it was Viking Raiders to get the win against Street Profits, which is countering their point that they made before the match, saying that tonight, them chasing the Viking Raiders was going to end last night. And it didn't. It ended just how this usually ends up. Street Profits losing to Viking Raiders. Viking Raiders have their numbers. They can't get the win over them. But the match, it was good. It looked like either of them could have won at any point, especially towards the end. They were just trading shots back and forth. It felt like just like two friends playing a video game, and they have unlimited finishers and just hitting them left and right. This is probably going to be a setup for a Raw Tag Team title match because this was non-title at Money in the Bank. So I wouldn't be surprised if later on today or tomorrow afternoon, sometime before Friday or Sunday, they announced that Viking Raiders vs. Street Profits for the Raw Tag Team titles actually takes place. And maybe that's the setup. Maybe that's when Street Profits finally get their win. But we'll see. After that, we had Aleister Black cut a really dope promo in the back. It was cool because he had like a very clean cut look to himself. He was in dress clothes, but there was like a bunch of smoke and fog behind him. Very eerie. It seemed like more like it was less Undertaker-ish and more of a I don't even know how to describe it. It was just like a very dark presence to the promo, and I liked it because he's basically addressing what AJ Styles was saying, like saying that AJ was willing to toss Rey Mysterio and Aleister Black off of the roof of the Money in the Bank corporate building, and Aleister basically was saying like, "Look, man, if you go ahead and come for me, I'm gonna come at you too, and if for whatever reason." And you're lucky and successfully toss me off that roof, you better hope I don't have anything left. Because if I have anything left, I'm coming for you. So this leads me to believe that if the Raw women are gonna win, maybe the Raw men competitors probably won't win the match, and they'll probably go to someone over on SmackDown, whether that's Baron Corbin or Daniel Bryan. We'll see. And if AJ Styles doesn't win, because him and Aleister Black are my favorites to go ahead and win this match. If neither of them win, it does look like they're setting up an Aleister Black AJ Styles program going forward after Money in the Bank. I'd be down for it. They were teasing it. They were teasing that program up until WrestleMania, where they decided to pivot to AJ Styles and Undertaker. This is the match at WrestleMania that I thought should have happened. But nonetheless, we ended up with a phenomenal, no pun intended, boneyard match between Undertaker and AJ Styles, one of a kind. I liked it. Thought it was really good. I'm not mad at the result, but I am excited that we might be getting Aleister Black versus AJ Styles after all. So moving on, we have Charlotte Flair and her return to Monday Night Raw. She gets on the mic when she gets to the ring. And she cuts a promo talking about how, like, ever since she won the NXT title, she's been pulling double duty. And that she starts addressing her opponent, Io Shirai, who she's defending the title against this Wednesday on NXT. And halfway through her promo, Liv Morgan interrupts Charlotte, which led to a match between the two of them. And what I liked about this whole interaction is that they have Liv Morgan in the same area, in the same breath, as a Charlotte Flair. Just being there with a Charlotte Flair is raising her profile. She's getting that Charlotte Flair rub. Whether that's Charlotte or like a Becky Lynch, it's a big name that Liv Morgan is interacting with. And she had a great match with Charlotte. Charlotte actually had to fight to beat Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan looked great in defeat. And like I said, it took a fair amount of effort from Charlotte in order to put Liv away. And she just showed fight. And that's what Liv Morgan's character has become. She's that resilient, like, scrappy wrestler in the women's division over on Monday Night Raw. And I wouldn't be surprised to see her within a couple months be in that title picture. Whether she wins it or not, it's not the question. It's the fact that she's being groomed up to be one of the top faces of the women's division on Monday Night Raw, and I'm excited for that. Like I said, this whole promo segment with Charlotte and Liv Morgan accomplished two things. It hypes up Charlotte Flair's NXT match, to get more views on USA and NXT this Wednesday, because she will be defending the title. And again, like I was saying, gives Liv Morgan a rub by being in a match with a high-profile opponent. Overall, thumbs up across the board for me. So, at this point, we get to the main event of the evening. We have Drew McIntyre taking on Buddy Murphy. And right off the gate, man, Drew McIntyre just basically destroys Buddy Murphy while Seth Rollins is on the outside watching. Murphy got some licks in, man, but overall, I'm not sugarcoating that. He got destroyed. Drew McIntyre destroyed Buddy Murphy. He does get the win with the Claymore kick. I'm liking the Claymore kick. I'm liking Drew as a champion. They're booking him as a strong, competent world champion. He's what he's supposed to be. He's exactly how he's supposed to be booked. It's perfect. Post-match, Drew basically starts calling out Seth Rollins, begs him to get in the ring and fight him. Seth gets on the apron, looks like he wants to get in, but is kind of hesitant, and then decides to back away. Drew's like, why am I not surprised that you cowered away and left? He turns his back on Seth Rollins, celebrates his win, and as he turns back around, Seth Rollins takes him out, strikes him. He runs back into the ring to take him out. Seth Rollins is trash talking him, basically saying he outsmarted him. This is his destiny. More of the Seth Rollins mumbo jumbo, like Messiah gibberish propaganda that he likes to spew. He eyes the WWE Championship, sees that that's his end goal, and turns his attention back to Drew. He sets up for the curb stomp, but Drew has it scouted and hits the Glasgow Kiss, which is just basically his fucking headbutt that he hits people with. And he goes ahead and tries to set up for the Claymore kick to get Seth, but he slithers his way out. And that was the finish to Raw. A very solid segment interaction between Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre. Their feud has been very interesting, and I don't want this to end at Money in the Bank. I don't want Drew to get a clean victory, or if Drew does get some kind of clean victory, I want there to be some kind of like wiggle room for Seth Rollins to claim and make the claim that he should get a rematch for that title. I don't want Seth to win the title, but he's the perfect foil to the babyface Drew at the moment. And I'm with it, man. Monday Night Raw has been solid, man. Like I said, like a solid B. Maybe even B+, man. Some questionable booking decisions. I don't know what they're doing with Two Flight Crew. Shelton Benjamin, I feel like he should be used way better. Liv Morgan is skyrocketing. She is a freaking star. And one final thing of note before we sign off and end the show. WWE was doing like top 10 Money in the Bank moments, like montage reel, like throughout the night. And at one point, they get to Seth Rollins' cash in, where he cashed in on WrestleMania 31 against Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns in their match, making the triple threat match, which was dubbed the heist of the century. And what was interesting about this whole thing is that we were listening to the rumors, we were hearing things that Vince McMahon and WWE have given orders to commentators and wrestlers and everyone within WWE to not mention Roman Reigns' name, to not bring him up. They're basically giving him the CM Punk / Chris Benoit treatment. And I think there was like Make-A-Wish like commercials, and he was like removed. Like anything that like remotely addresses or has any like images of Roman Reigns was stripped from WWE. And this was the big one where you're just like, what the fuck is going on? Because as we all know, Seth comes in, makes this a triple threat match. The big moments of the match is hitting the curb stomp on Brock Lesnar to eliminate him, hitting the curb stomp on Roman Reigns, and then winning the match, pinning Roman Reigns. And what WWE did is that they showcased him running down the ramp to the ring, curb stomping Brock Lesnar. It blacks out the screen, and then you just see Seth Rollins with the championship. No Roman Reigns to be found. So I thought that was just interesting. I don't think there's anything too big of note. WWE is a petty business, man. They're a petty company. And even if your Roman Reigns doesn't excuse you from the pettiness, they threw shots at Stone Cold when he decided to take his ball and go home, quote unquote. And Roman Reigns decided, I'm going to stay in my yard with my family. I have a weak immune system, getting past my leukemia. I don't want to put anybody at risk, including myself. And WWE, I think, and Vince McMahon, they're probably just a little salty that Roman Reigns decided, I'm out. I'm not going to come to work and risk my health for pro wrestling. And I feel like that's all it is. I think it's just sour grapes at this point. But yeah, that was Raw in a nutshell. Overall, solid show. Let us know what you guys thought in the comment section down below on the YouTube video. Go ahead and smack that thumbs up button if you did enjoy this show. Go ahead and subscribe so we can go ahead and get that sub count a little bit higher. Go ahead and turn on that bell notification so you know when a brand new episode drops. Go ahead and download this and all Smack Raw Podcast episodes on all your podcasting sites. And like I said, reach out to us on social media at Smack Raw Pod, at SES Events. Use the hashtag Smack Raw to ask us some questions and chime in on the show. We will give you a shout out. And we'll see you guys this Wednesday for NXT/AEW, this Friday for SmackDown, and this Sunday for Money in the Bank. And we will be having Money in the Bank predictions episode on YouTube sometime Tuesday, Wednesday afternoon. So keep an eye out for that. But with that being said, my name is SES Vince. This has been the Smack Raw Podcast, and we will catch you guys next week. Later, y'all.